Welcome back to Career Talk. I'm Cole Sperry, Managing Editor here at Optum Careers. Today, we're going to talk about brain calories and whether you're forcing people in your job interviews to spend too many brain calories and whether that's harming you. Concentrated thought requires us to burn more brain calories. The more we require people to think about what we say in an interview could raise their brain's metabolic requirements and encourage them to tune you out, or worse, turn you off. The brain is designed for survival. It's one of the last things in our bodies to go when we part from this earth, when it's all said and done. It is literally designed for survival. All day long, your brain is automatically, without you even being aware of it, tuning out anything it deems irrelevant for your survival. Imagine what life would be like if it didn't do this. We wouldn't be able to make any decision. Our lives would be completely meaningless. We would be like that dog in the movie Up chasing squirrels all day. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. Or imagine going into an interview and you would think, oh, wow, that pattern on that tie, look at that. Or, oh, wow, look at the pen they're using. I wonder if it writes with thin ink or thick ink. Do you think it's blue or black? Or whoa, look at that one's resume. I wonder what it would look like with Calibri instead of Arial. Would it fit on one page still? You would randomly go into information that had nothing to do with your survival. So what does this have to do with your job interviews? Well, everything. If you don't communicate simply and concisely in an interview, you require the other person to spend more brain calories to figure out how you're going to help them survive and ultimately thrive. And if you make them spend too many brain calories, they're going to shut down, move on, and they're going to start to tune you out. It takes a lot of calories to process information. Anyone who's ever sat for a certification exam, the CPA, any kind of project management exam, or if you've spent a full day teaching in a classroom, or spent a day in back-to-back meetings, then you know at the end of that day, you are completely exhausted. All you did was sit there and think all day. You didn't burn any real physical calories. It's not like you're stocking shelves in a grocery store or lifting weights at the gym. But your brain burned a lot of calories, processing a lot of information, and it is exhausting. When our brain has to process a ton of information and burn extra calories on data that it deems to have nothing to do with its survival, it turns off. Your brain says, I don't need this information. So when someone asks you to tell them about yourself, you start talking about your college experience and the awards you've won and about what you really want in your next job, the person listening says, I don't think I'm going to burn a bunch of calories on this one. And they start to tune out. Or worse, during an interview, the hiring manager asks about your current job and you say, it's complicated. What did you just tell the other person? You told them that they're going to have to burn a lot of extra calories to understand your last job experience and how it's relevant and important to their problems and the job they need you to do. This could put your interview at risk. Why do we conserve brain calories? Preserving brain calories can possibly be traced all the way back to hunter-gatherers, when groups of men and women would bond together for safety and security. Groups would conserve calories because they had to be ready for threats from animals or other groups. If you spent all your calories in one day, you could be dead the next day when the nearby clan storms the hill and raids your group. This may sound silly in today's modern society, but these forms of barbarians still exist. They simply take different forms. For example, if a hiring manager spends too many brain calories in an interview, what happens when Pam from HR walks in with the latest firestorm one of their employees just created? This is what modern day barbarians look like. Or what about that key account that threatens to pull their $5 million book of business later? If we spend all our brain calories, we're dead later. We just lost the account. So how do we ensure a hiring manager doesn't tune us out during an interview? By communicating about topics that help the interviewer survive and doing it as simply and clearly as possible. That's how you ensure they won't burn too many brain calories. This is how we make sure they understand us and that they're able to metabolize the message we are delivering. The clearest communicator will win the interview and win the job, not the most qualified candidate. People don't hire the best person for the job, and they never will. They hire the ones they can understand and connect with the fastest. We are in a race to communicate clearly. Every piece of information we choose to share in an interview is like handing someone an apple. If you hand me one apple, I can hold it without dropping it. And then you share another piece of information. So now I've got 2 apples. I'm still okay. I can hold both of these with relative ease. It's not hard. But what happens when you hand me the 3rd, and the 4th, and the 5th? Or you share some kind of term or technical piece of information that I'm not familiar with. Now you've made me spend even more brain calories. This would be like dipping one of those apples in melted butter or caramel before handing it to me. And what happens when you hand me that 5th one, all covered in butter and caramel? I drop all the apples. I don't drop one, I drop all of them. And this is what is happening to many of us in our interviews. We tell the hiring manager about all our accomplishments at our last employer and how we solved all these problems step by step, detail by detail. And by the 5th apple, the manager's brain is fighting to stay with you. You're also in severe competition because they have another interview they're thinking about after yours. And then the phone rings, and someone on the product team has an emergency. And what happens is they begin to prioritize the next interview, that phone call, as more important to their survival than the nonsense that we're spewing out. We have to communicate simply by avoiding language that the hiring manager may not understand, and clearly by having a controlling idea for our interview and bringing everything back to that idea. If you found this helpful and insightful, like it, share it with a friend, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to come back and check out optumcareers.com for more job search, interview, and money advice. I'll see you next time.